Welcome back to the Apocalypse Road playthrough, part 2. In part 1, in this 10-team race, I moved the first 8 teams. I moved the cars for the first 8 teams. Now I want to do Deadbeats, which is the team number 9. And as before, I mentioned I have some randomized traits I assign to each team to determine like they're going to move the trailing car or the leading car, or if they want to avoid events and so forth. Well, Deadbeats is going to move the car that's toward the end, the trailing car. In that case, the trailing car for the Deadbeats is car number 55. Now 55 has a machine gun turret, so they can fire basically in any direction. They could hit any of these 4 cars. Now the easiest car for them to hit would be the X9X, because it has a defense of 1. So car 55 is going to shoot its machine gun at X9X. It needs a 1 and it gets a 3, so that's a hit, and the machine gun does, at the top you can see it does 1 point. So we'll put 1 damage on X9X, which is their first damage point. So they have 5 remaining. So now we do the movement, and the Deadbeats, they like to move the longest distance they can, even if it might trigger events. So in this case, their longest event is a 6, and it's a lead movement. Car 55 has a base speed of 7, so 7 and 6, 13. And it's lead movement, so every car that's currently trailing 55, which we have these 5 cars here, they will follow along 55, whatever path 55 takes. Again, 55 is taking 13 movement points, so we'll start up. They have to push these 2 cars ahead of it. So we'll push them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so when they moved 13, they went all the way around, and they actually had to move car 42 up 2 spots. So let's go ahead and move the remaining cars in this line. Here's 55, that's the moving car, the active car. And here's all the cars behind it, trailing along behind car 55. Now these cars are passing, they are passing the start finish line, but this is their initial pass, so we are not counting that as a lap completed. The actual, if you watch part 1, this is the actual lead car right here. The rest of these cars, there's just a few here. These cars here are still have yet to move, because I've only moved 10, well now 9, excuse me, 9 of the 40 cars for the first turn. So 55 has moved. It also fired, so let's flip 55 over to show their turn has been taken. Now they also have to do the movement event, because they had a star on their card, and it's dangerous debris. Each player must assign 1 damage to 1 car currently racing on their teams. Cars beside the track are exempt. If you're spun around, you still are eligible for a point. So this is if you're playing with actual 10 players, this wouldn't take but a few moments. But because I'm playing all 10 teams, this is kind of a time-consuming maneuver. But we're going to start with Deadbeats. And we're just going to add 1 damage to the car with the least amount of damage. In this case, Deadbeats, no one has any damage. Owl is the leading car, so we'll give 1 point to Owl. Baker's has not yet moved. Their leading car is Mom, so we'll put one on Mom. That's their first point. Moving on around. We've got Big Damn Heroes. Their lead car is DAP. It doesn't have any points, so we'll give it 1 point. Then the Rangers lead car is, I believe, Pound. It got damaged already, so how about 777? We'll put it on 777. And then Archmage Engines. Let's see, their first car, I think it's 42. Yep. Let's put 1 point there, 1 damage there. Gelato going around, looks like 61. And 61 doesn't have any damage, so that's their first point. And Hazelton X6X has a point. Let's move on down, let's see the next one. M77. M77, okay, so we'll put 1 on there. Pockets Racing. AS2 already has 1 damage. Let's look at 58. 58 has no damage. We'll put 1 there. Extreme Hazard. Car 888 has 1. The PBX does not. We'll put 1 on PBX. And then finally, Thunder Miners. The AS2 car. Now that's Pockets Racing, 67 car. Gets 1 point. Okay, so that took a while, but we did it. Moving on to the next team. This is Baguette Bakers. They want to move the trailing team. It's the orange team. 44Z is the trailing car. 44Z has a cannon in the front, so they can shoot. 44Z car can shoot 08. You can try to shoot 08 with its auto cannon. So Carly Clementine lines up the shot. 08 has a defense of 2. So they need at least a 2, and they get a 1. So that is a miss. There's no bonus, no +1 advantage for 44Z. So they fired and they miss. Now let's see, 44Z, they don't like to ram, and they also do not like event cards. So let's see, let's find the farthest card without an event. That'd be this 3 lead movement. Okay, they are out. Well, actually they're in behind, so there's not gonna be any lead movement. There's no one behind them, which is fine. So they get 3 plus their base of 6. So 44Z is going to move 9. Now here's part of the strategy involved here. If they push, they can push all these cars forward. They can push all these cars forward. That's fine. Or 44Z, lead movement is kind of like the solo movement, meaning you can pretty much freeform. You can go any direction you want, except backwards, of course. So they could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and push these, or they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and be on their own. But their strategy is they like to stay in the line. So because there's already another car from the same team in here, we're going to go ahead and just push all these 9. So starting at the very front, we're going to push him 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In fact, now here's part of the strategy in this game. When you get down here, they can push them this way or that way. This is the longer way, so let's push them that way. So that just pushes him on a longer track. The rest of the cars will be just pushed up to the edge there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, no, 2 of them go in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so the rest just fall in behind here. Okay. 44Z. Come to here, they have already fired, so we'll flip them. Their turn is now over. So that's actually that was actually the 10th card. So now we're going to start those teams over, but with starting with Big Damn Heroes again. They're the ones that start off. They're gonna move their lead car. That's their preference. Their lead car would be Q. DAP has already moved. Their DAP's already moved, so you're moving around. Their next car, again, this is just a rule I use, so I can play 10 players in a solo mode and have each of them sort of have different types of strategies. And in the end, I guess I can compare the strategies and see which one worked out best. But in this case, car Q is going to go first. They have a turret, so they can fire in any direction. That car 71 has a defensive 1, and 41 has a defensive 1. Let's see. 41 has no damage yet. Car 71 has no damage yet. Oh, we're going to shoot 71. Q is going to shoot 71 with their, they have a auto cannon. They don't have a bonus. All they need is a 1, and they get a 1. The auto cannon does 5 points. Big hit. So we'll take 5 damage counters, and we load up 71. 71 gets 5 points. That gives them 5 since they had 0. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, when you eliminate a car, you get a victory point. When you cross the finish line, you get a victory point. But no victory points at that point, almost. So Q has fired, now it's their movement. They are also a team that does not like to use events, so they have the card 3 and a ram movement. So Q is going to ram the car in front of it. Q, which is right here, they're just going to move right here and ram car MOM, Mom. Then they ram Mom, and we pick a card and see what the damage is. And that's 2 points to Mom. Look down here, and you show 2 points to the car being rammed. In this case, 0 points to Q. That worked out real well. So we find 2 damage counters. We put on Mom, which now gives her a total of 3. And Q is finished. Q didn't actually move any place because they just rammed into Mom initially, and Mom was not destroyed, so they do not move forward. So that's it for Q's turn, or Big Damn Hero's turn. Move on to the Rangers, Vila Rangers. They like to move the car in the trailing position. In this case, that's going to be 777. 777 has a missile launcher in the front, and they get a bonus of a +1. So 777, which is right here, they can shoot PDX or they can shoot 2. They cannot aim for 85. They can only do these 3 cars that are adjacent, either frontwards or 1 space diagonally. Well, 777 can shoot PBX or 2. Both have a defensive 1. PBX has 1 damage. Car 2 Has no damage. So they'll go ahead and shoot PBX. Maybe there's a chance they can knock them out. 777 with a bonus of 1, defense of 1. They can't really miss. Even with a 0, they get a bonus of 1 plus 1 on their targeting. So even that is a hit. And the auto cannon, excuse me, they used a missile launcher. The missile does 4 points. The missile launcher does 4 points. So we have 4 damage counters to, was it car 2 or PBX or shooting at? Or car 2 or PBX. Oh, they were doing PBX, that's right. So PBX gets the 4 points, puts them up to 5. So Dan, the disintegrator, is just about disintegrated in that car PBX. So 777 has fired. They have not yet moved. Let's look at their card selection. They also like to avoid events. So the longest card they can do is diagonal solo movement, which is good. They can go diagonal. They can free form 3 plus their base of 5, so they can go 8 positions. Let's see. Now, their team are here and there, so he's just going to push them forward. All 4. He's going to move his entire 8, just going straight. So let's just do this real quick. That's 1. Then we'll push all of these, the remaining 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 41 moves up. That's his teammate. Kid moves around. Pound, asterisk pound, or exclamation pound. 888 moves around. PBX with the 1 point left moves around, and 777 gets right behind them. 777 has now completed their move, so let's turn them over. And that's Vila Ranger's turn. Moving on, Archmage engines. They like to move the lead car. Well, the lead car, in this case, is the, let's find it. Could be one of these two. Yes, it must be, let's see, the 1MN or Z3. And where's their, oh, here's the 85 right there. Okay. Because 42 is already moved. So we're going to move the 1MN. We're going to move this car right there. 1MN, driven by Sure Schrick, has a front targeting missile launcher. So he can shoot APB. He's got a +1 targeting. So APB has a defense of 2. Can't really see that too well. You can see on there, defense of 2. So all they need is a 1, and they get a 3. So that's definitely a hit. And they're using a missile launcher. The missile launcher does 2 points. So APB gets their 2 points, and that is their first 2 points. For the movement, Archmage engines prefer to avoid the events. So they could do a diagonal lead, or they can do a ram. There's really, let's see, his movement is 5. So he uses the ram. 5 plus 3 is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can't actually accomplish the ram. So we're just going to use a diagonal lead movement. which means he can go on diagonals. He gets to move 8. Well, since he can do diagonal, oh, it's diagonal lead. So everybody behind him will follow the exact path that he is taking. So that's going to create quite a log jam of cars over here. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's going to be right here. We're going to flip him over now. And everybody that was behind him, which are these 5 cars, will do the exact same move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they all end up right behind. Okay. Big, massive cars going around that first turn, heading down toward the second turn. Well, that's it for Archmage engines. Let's go on to Gelato. Gelato likes to move the trailing car. The trailing car would be 143, but they've already moved. So the next one, next trailing car, again, this is just my rules to, when I added a preference to each team, Gelato prefers to move the trailing cars. So they're going to move car 61. 61 has a turret they can fire in any direction. So 61 can go after MDB or Z3. Z3 is the easier to hit, so we'll go ahead and try for that. And all they need is a 1. They got a 2, so that's a hit. 61 is able to use their autocannon and score 4 points to Z3. Z3 had 1 damage, so that moves Z3 up to 5. These cars are holding tough. We've got several cars at 5 damage. There we go, 5 damage for Z3. Again, that's car 61, just did 5 damage to Z3. Now 61 move, they want to avoid the events. These two have events because of the star. These don't. They have an overtake or lead movement. Overtake means that they can just move through the cars that are ahead of them. They just switch places with the cars ahead. 61's movement base is 5, so they're going to go 7. So he's going to use that overtake. And he's going to go 7 because that means he, in relation to all other cars, makes some good headway. So he moves 1, then he's going to move here to be 2, switch places with Mom, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he goes to the top of the line right now. So there we go. We turned him over because he is done. There's no event for Gelato. All right, one more and we'll take a break. We're going to move the Hazleton Mountaineers. They also like to move the trailing car. That would be car 85. Now, 85 belongs to Archmage. The trailing car here is M77. Yes, the trailing car is M77. Has not moved yet. M77 has a front missile launcher with +1 targeting. But there's nobody directly ahead of M77 at this time. After their move, there may be. So we'll see how that works out. They don't mind using events, they're going to go ahead and use this 6 lead movement. Wait a minute, they like to ram. Let's see if they had another ram card in here. No, they had no other ram. Okay. So they're going to use this 6. M77 has a base of 5. So with the 6 and a base of 5, that's an 11. And it's lead movement. So 77 is going to lead this whole line of cars right here as they move 11. And I believe all he's gonna do is just move right on through and end up pushing. It's gonna end up pushing all these cars here eventually. So let's go ahead and move as far as we go right here. 1, 2, 3. All these move 3. Again, he's gonna move a total of 11. Then he's gonna push all these cars 8 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So all these cars are being moved all the way up into the rough track. They reach the rough track up here. Rough track meaning they can't switch lanes once they get into that rough area. Here's the car that made the move. Let's go ahead and flip him over. He still has a chance to fire. These are the cars that were trailing him. Okay, that's the movement. Now M77 has that missile launching front, so he can hit 44Z if they can get a 2. And he has +1 targeting, so all he needs is a 1, and he gets a 3. So that is a hit, and since it's a missile launcher, it only does 1 point. 1 point, M77 does 1 point to 44Z. 44Z brings them up to 5. Another car at 5 damage. That is amazing. Okay, that's it for M77Z. Oh, excuse me, N77 has moved, they've flipped. We're gonna stop it there, and we'll start with part 3 in a little while. I'll talk to you later, bye-bye.